Remember that Crash Team Racing remake that came out a few years back? That game was fucking phenomenal. Who was your go-to racer? I always loved Tiny Tiger, but really got around Nash in this one. Nothing cooler than a land shark, you know?
I agree about Nash, something very Darwinian about a shark evolving to live on land. Of course, it requires that water tank apparatus to breathe, but it truly is an astounding move forward on the evolutionary path. I always went for Dr. Engine. I know Coco was used a lot for speed runs, but personally I prefer the idea behind Engine and his rocket, in that his forward thinking led to a catastrophe on himself, yet he still pushes forward, while the only tribulations Coco has suffered was a rundown battery.
I see what you're saying there. What did you think about the Grand Prix stuff they did? I fucking love that racer outfit Crunch got in the first one, and bringing back Tawna and the Trophy Girls was a pretty ballsy move.
You see, the thing about the first Grand Prix of Crash Team Racing was that it provided 5 female racers. The game already had Coco distracting me, and now there are 5 more hussies I need to be worried about during races. I just think that, same as for the workplace, these women should be allowed to drive, but in their own spaces, where men like you and me won't get carried away by our base animal instincts.
I think calling them hussies is a bit much, don't you think? And what base animal instincts are you talking about?
Let's move past it. The track itself really showed that Beanox understood level design in a way that the original Nitro kart did not. I'm sure if it was made today, the woke moralists would be in an uproar over the depictions of the lab assistants on the track, but I personally find it quite tasteful.
Well, of course. I mean, they're in traditional Middle Eastern attire, which, if anything, is representation, but I can see the Twitter SJWs getting their goddamn panties in a twist over it. I'm surprised there wasn't much discourse against Papu Papu returning, to be quite frank with you.
Well, Papu Papu is, of course, the antithesis to a character like Crunch, but his Polynesian background really shines through, to the point where I actually looked into the history of Polynesia for a week or so. When you get a chance, check out The Navigators by David Lewis. Oh, and I found his boss cutscene to be rather funny. These people want representation, and then when they get it, they cry foul, and it's rather disgusting.
I couldn't agree more. Were there any new tracks or characters that you weren't a fan of?
Koala Carnival still gets under my skin. Not only is it nothing more than a circle, but the rainbow design elements couldn't be more in my face. They have the LGBTQ plus fake crash costume, which already was an eyesore, and now this. I just think for a character like Koala Kong, it really doesn't suit.
I see what you're saying, but personally, I never saw it that way, as I just fucking love the flame spires and the jumps, and as a character, Koala Kong might be my second favorite behind Nash. Also, Pasadena and Von Clutch returning was a crazy move.
Von Clutch I agree with, as his characteristics of a broken man driven by the race is rather comparable to Engine. Again, with Pasadena returning, I am okay with, but what about a character like Evil Crash? Or the classic villain of Crash Tag Team Racing, Willy Wumpa Cheeks?
I remember being convinced Wumpa Cheeks was returning. There was all the data that was shared on Reddit and a few hints towards him. Jamie, can you pull up those Wumpa Cheeks rumors?
I remember feeling the same way. I believe the character that was being hinted at ended up being the checkpoint box, though.
Oh, that's right. Man, that shit was hilarious.
Funniest shit I've ever seen.